Welcome everybody to Champions Night in Yerevan, Armenia. In the black, apologies for the late start, but they are right of the night. Ljungquist came into this with 10-0 records. BOYMATOV, a silver medalist in the World Youth DZUKAEV from Vladikavkaz. So those two getting ungloved, and we'll join the referee Ljungquist longer in the centre of the ring for the decision.
Победитель бой. Итак, в бою единогласным решением судей победу and your winner, unanimous decision from Hitman.
Perfect, and from what close to the mid close range, throwing those hooks and those uppercuts, don't travel far. Lined up like he might have some fairly heavy hands. Good defense. BOYMATOV dropping the elbow on the body shot. Stiff jabbing elbow on the body shot. Stiff jab again, and the key there for him really is that he's not sending. Snap through the guard, little combination there, varying up the weight of the punch, and it's going to be good to watch DZUKAEV. It's the first time I've seen him actually. But from the style he has, he is always going to engage. Up in the air, a touch at times. I don't think he's the best fighter in the world to hit. Very entertaining. At the end of the 6 rounds.
Дамы и господа, мы идем далее, и на очереди 6-раундовый поединок в весовой категории до 60 килограммов. Рефери боя Александр Хамидов, Узбекистан. И первый черный угол ринга. Добро пожаловать, боксер, представляющий Молдову. Приветствуйте, Виктор
Debut.
Дамы и господа, сейчас Приветствуйте на пути в золотой угол ринга, представляющий Yerevan, Армения, Artur Bazeyan.
Big hand from the crowd for Bazeyan, boxing out of Yerevan.
Дамы и господа, представляем соперников и первым боксера в черном углу ринга. 25 лет.
Vakula. Rounds. Slight height advantage there for Vakula. When you saw them in the centre of the ring, though, you could see there wasn't an awful lot in it. So there goes the bell. Both of these two boxing out of the orthodox stance. Good use of the jab there from Bazeyan. Goes up to the head, then down to the body. Body. European Under-22s I mentioned back in 2021 was a good tournament. An unusual tournament, of course. It was, as I said, in does use that jab a bit better. From Bazeyan through the slow, bringing it back. Vakula, who's stuck with southpaw here, just eats the left hand. Ljungquist. So into the second round. Go as his opponent comes towards him there, and I think that's where he can have some real joy. Vakula, I think, won't need too much invitation. Just needs to step back from Bazeyan. And I think he can punish him, but he's looking to do that on the front foot as well. Vakula tuck up a touch. I wonder if he felt that because it the arm himself. He is quite ragged in style, Vakula, and if Bazeyan can pick the gaps, that's in underneath it. And now just digs away to the body. He's built up an awful lot of experience, Bazeyan, by quite a young age at the World Championships. That mid-20s, so stepping up now into IBA pro boxing is a good move. Can still keep that amateur career going. A little bit more circumspect in this round, certainly in the later stages of it, just giving ground. I think a right hand must have landed there. That's a decent left from Vakula, stepped in and just caught Bazeyan. He doesn't want to get careless here, the Armenian, because Vakula is certainly game. There's that right hand lead again, and then just stepped away to his left hand side. Right hand into the body, that was the one, and then another one as he backed away. But that first one, just as he was opening out a little bit, Vakula, he got hit on that rib cage right below the armpit, and you could just see from the way that he gave some ground and then tucked up when he was on the ropes. But there's that left hand towards the end of the round, and that was a good shot, just stepped in with it nicely.
Секунданты за ринг. Секунданты за ринг. Четвертый раунд.
A minute gone in round 4. It's been an entertaining fight to watch right from the start, really. It's not changed too much in terms of the dynamic. It's been Bazeyan on the front foot, Vakula doing what he can to keep him off, and a bit more than that at times as well. But it's certainly seen a lot of punches being thrown by both of them. Bazeyan just trying to work on the ropes there, leaning into Vakula, finds room for the uppercut there. And that was a good shot. Just threaded it up between the forearms. Again, working the body there, Bazeyan. He gets some real meat on those punches. And when you look at the pair of them, obviously they're the same weight category, but Bazeyan just looks more thick-set. Slightly more sinewy, slender look to Vakula. Right-handed to the body again there for Bazeyan. And leads off with an expansive uppercut, which didn't quite land, which was just as well for Vakula. Just looking to cuff with that right hand round the back of the head there. Vakula trying to tuck up. Final few seconds of the round, and as I said right at the start of the fight, I did wonder whether Bazeyan, if he could just keep going, chip away, if he could maybe put a real dent in Vakula, and signs in that round that possibly he could. Working those hands there, Bazeyan, as Vakula's trying to dip off to his left-hand side. No great power on any of them, but the volume's been good from Bazeyan. You look at Vakula there, though, he looks okay, doesn't he? 2 rounds to go. He's taken a few, but there's not really a mark on him. It's just a question of whether Bazeyan can just sustain that level of pressure and just keep it high for the remaining 6 minutes. That's what he's going to need to do. He's not going to take Vakula out with one shot. That's not going to happen. But if he can keep him under sustained pressure, and maybe there isn't too much coming back, at some point the referee might start to think about it. We've not got to that point yet, and it might sound a bit premature me even talking about it really, but Bazeyan started the round by checking his chin with a good solid right hand there, and I think Vakula is going more into survival mode. Lead left hook there from Bazeyan landed. He doesn't want to just lapse into throwing those singles though, Bazeyan. He needs to still just try and work his way in. Leads off with a left hook there, but that was smothered by Vakula as he was coming forward, and then he just hangs onto the arm there of Bazeyan. He'll do what he can in the time remaining here, the Moldovan, I think, just to run down the clock. He's feeling this now, and another right hand gets through there, and he comes off the rope and just gets a hold of Bazeyan, pushes him off with the heel of his glove a bit, and he's trying to make this as messy as possible now, which is understandable. Bazeyan attempting to jab his way in, got close, lovely left hand there, and I think that stung Vakula because again he just falls straight in there to grab a hold of Bazeyan. Second half of the round, and he's winning every round here, Bazeyan. The result isn't in any doubt. It's just, does he want to really put his foot on the gas and see if he can force a stoppage in the 4 or so minutes we have remaining here, because I do think it's on. Left hand into the body, and he's just caught square on the ropes there, Vakula. He's not really got anywhere to go. Bazeyan leaning in, nicking a little bit of a rest himself here, then just pushes his man off. Vakula will grab him any chance he gets, and he's got to not let him do it. Down to the body, rattles 5, 6, 7, 8 punches off, up to the head. And he's doing that well. He's going up, he's going down, because he carries those hands pretty low most of the time, Vakula. Final 30 seconds around 5. But then when he does pick them up, he punishes the body too, Bazeyan. That right hand straight over the top of a lazy looking left there from Vakula. Head snap back again there. And this is hard for him now. Lovely 1-2 there from Bazeyan. And Vakula has got to try and get those hands up. He's not really done it at any point during the fight, but if he's going to survive the 3 minutes that's remaining now, he's got to try and use a tighter guard, because holding those hands down at waist height, his reflexes aren't quick enough. He hasn't got the legs really at this stage of the fight to pull himself out of range, and he's just getting hit with big shots.
За ринг. Финальный 6-й раунд.
Sixth and final round between these two. Artur Bazeyan in the white, Victor Vakula in the black, and Bazeyan has dominated the fight from the beginning, but that's not to say that Vakula has not given punches of his own back, because he has. He's looked to get on the front foot and attack whenever possible, but the better fighter has been Bazeyan, and again he just lets his hands go. All started with a strong right hand, and he's just ragdolling Vakula around the ring a bit at the minute. When he gets hit, Vakula looks like he's not too far away from unraveling here, but it hasn't happened yet. He's shown a pretty solid chin, I have to say. He doesn't protect that chin all that well, but when he gets hit on it, he seems to be able to take it. Bodywork again there from Bazeyan, and that's something he's done well. He's mixed things up nicely, and he's got to keep his foot on the gas here, because I think if he can just keep the attacks coming in, the referee may have to stop this, because Vakula looks absolutely done in. He is weary, he is tired, he's been hit a lot. Left hand again there from Bazeyan. He just needs to try and make sure that Vakula can't grab hold of him, and the referee does stop it. And that's a good call from the ref there, because Vakula's brave. He wasn't going to take a knee, he wasn't going to look for a way out. But all that awaited him there was another couple of minutes of real punishment. And I, for one, don't feel like there was any need for us to really see it. Vakula has given us plenty in there, but he was being hit with big bombs. And as I was saying, he did look like he was about to unravel. He may well not have, and may well have just soaked it up for another 2 minutes, but you can get hit with an awful lot of punches in 2 minutes, and just there the knees dip a little bit. The referee's right on the scene, and that is a good intervention. There are some stoppages you need to see and some you don't, and that would have been a knockout had it come, that would have certainly been preventable, and that's what the referee is there for in certain circumstances.
Дамы и господа, этот поединок, где мы увидели высочайшее мастерство и настоящий мужской характер, рефери Александр Хамидов остановил ввиду явного преимущества боксера из золотого угла. Таким образом, техническим нокаутом победу одержал Artur Bazeyan!
So a win for Bazeyan on his IBA Pro debut, and he's a good fighter. You can tell that from the wealth of amateur experience that he built up, but also he's got a good style. He's got a fan-friendly style. He is all business. He wants to get forward, get on the front foot, and let his hands go. He will be good to watch. First couple of rounds, Vakula was able to maraud forward and land some decent shots. Bazeyan had the better of the fight from the start, but as the rounds wore on, he just wore down that energy bar, if you like, of Vakula's, and things became more and more difficult for him. A bit of the snap went out of his own punches. His punch resistance seemed to just fade a little bit, and by the end, a knockout, a clean knockout, was a distinct possibility. It wasn't going to be, he didn't feel a single shot, but the finishing punch of a combination possibly, as he worked for the opening Bazeyan. He did look like he might be about to take him out, and there was no quit in Vakula whatsoever, so that's where you need a good referee to come in and save you for another day.
Дамы и господа, наш турнир «Ночь чемпионов IBA» продолжит 6-раундовый поединок в весовой категории до 48 килограммов. Рефери этого боя Лука Вадилонга, Италия. И сейчас приветствуйте на пути в черный угол ринга боксер, представляющий Кыргызстан, Anvarzhan Khodzhiev.
So straight on with the action, we've got another 6-rounder here. This is at 48 kilos at light flyweights. Another IBA Pro fight. Anvarzhan Khodzhiev of Kyrgyzstan. Boxed in the Pro Series in April, lost to Timour. He's a very tidy fighter. Won the Stranger earlier this year, Khodzhiev, so that gives you a good idea of what he's about. Didn't make it to Paris for the Olympics. Lost in the final qualifier in Thailand, but has boxed in the World Championships, a Continental Under-22, so he's gained some good experience over the last few years. He's in the black and gold, boxing out of that black corner.
Дамы и господа, а сейчас приветствуйте на пути в золотой угол ринга, представляющий Армению, Baregham Harutyunyan.
Another Armenian fighter making his way to the ring, Baregham Harutyunyan. Experienced guy in his mid-30s these days. Won a silver at this year's European Championships in Belgrade. That's the biggest result of his career. Lost to the Russian Edmund Khordoyan in the final. Boxed at the World Championships in Tashkent last year. And like Khodzhiev, had a tilt at the Olympic Games but didn't manage to get there, also falling short in Bangkok. It's 6 rounds at 48 kilos. Another IBA Pro Series fight. So another 6-rounder to come after this. Then an 8, then a 10.
Дамы и господа, нас ожидают 6 раундов бокса. В ринге боксеры весовой категории до 48 килограммов. Боксеру в черном углу 22 года. Его рост 162 сантиметра. Официальный вес 47,9 килограмма. Чемпион престижного турнира Странджа. Призер чемпионата Азии. Из Бишкека, Кыргызстан. Anvarzhan Khodzhiev. Его сопернику справа от меня в золотом углу ринга 35 лет. Его рост 171 сантиметр, а вес также 47,9 килограмма. Мастер спорта международного класса. Призер чемпионата Европы 2024 года, представляющий Веди Армения, Baregham Harutyunyan.
Good reception for Harutyunyan, as you would expect. Luka Vadalonga, our referee.
Okay, guys, watch your head. No punches back, no low blow, no holding. Listen to my command. Touch your gloves, and good luck.
So you can see the height difference there. Harutyunyan is tall for the weight. 1.71 m. And a big difference in age there too. The 35 Harutyunyan is 13 years Khodzhiev's senior. So Armenia against Kyrgyzstan. Harutyunyan in the white, Khodzhiev in the black. And it's Harutyunyan who is immediately on the front foot. Boxing out of the orthodox stance, Khodzhiev operating southpaw. And you can see the reach there on Harutyunyan also. Does he have the tools to keep this on the outside? Is that the way that he fights to try and keep this long? Because when you have two operators in there who have these different statures, then that's what you would expect the taller fighter to try and do. He's looking to try and pop the jab at the minute, Harutyunyan. He's got to try and get past that, Khodzhiev. But as he came in with a right hand there, Harutyunyan, he just shut down his own space a bit. Balance came forward over the top of that front foot slightly. The right foot, the back foot came round. So I'm not convinced he's going to make the absolute most of these natural advantages. It's not always the case that a fighter does. And Khodzhiev just sets his feet off the ropes there and throws back with some purpose for the first time, really. That's a good jab there from Khodzhiev. He's got nice quick hands. And he beat Harutyunyan to landing the punch, even though Harutyunyan pulled the trigger quite noticeably before he did. Just giving ground to the ropes there. Khodzhiev, he's trying to sucker Harutyunyan in. Moves in from the outside with a left hand. Again, that's a decent jab, and then he just slips off to his right-hand side. He's got that amateur trait of raising his glove when he feels that he's landed a scoring blow. Into the final minute of round one. Left hand into the body there from Khodzhiev. And it's an interesting matchup, this, because it's Harutyunyan who's, generally speaking, on the front foot. He's trying to walk Khodzhiev down. And he has landed with some punches, but Khodzhiev, to my mind, has picked the better punches in this opening round, but it's not that easy to score. And judges can tend to prefer, in rounds where it's hard to differentiate on accurate punching, they can tend to prefer the fighter who's more on the front foot. That's a good left hand. Again, just lands a couple in that combination, then dips low at the waist and finds a way out. When we're at that kind of range, although Harutyunyan scoring to the body there, that should suit Khodzhiev more, because it'll be difficult for Harutyunyan to get his arms free. Just dabs at his left eyebrow there. I think the heads might have come together at some point in that round, which wouldn't exactly be surprising, because Khodzhiev inevitably brings his in quite low because he's that much shorter, and Harutyunyan actually does dip quite low himself, stoops, carries his own head quite low.
Второй раунд.
Back to orthodox Khodzhiev. He can switch between stance quite effectively. Right hand there from Harutyunyan. Khodzhiev with a couple of push-ups as he's knocked down there. The crowd enjoyed that, as did the referee. Just fencing with the jab a bit there, Harutyunyan. Khodzhiev just sinking into the ropes a touch, waiting for an opportunity just to spring off and let that one go. He knows that he can't be too far out, Khodzhiev, or he's never going to reach with a counter. So he just has to judge it, stay just out of range of that jab. Good right hand there from Harutyunyan. And Khodzhiev's got good feet. Nice quick feet. And there's that jab. He's sending that jab out quicker and bringing it back quicker in this round, Harutyunyan. He still brings it back quite low, but it's snapping out and coming back nice and quick. And that's key, because in that first round a couple of times, Khodzhiev waited for him to throw the jab, and as he saw it coming, just threw his own and landed first. Because there was a difference there in hand speed. Khodzhiev looking to try and lead off with that right hand. Midway through round two, Harutyunyan doing a better job, I think, of cutting off the ring in the second round than he did in the first. Left hand lands there from the Armenian. Both of them just shutting down their own space a touch there. Harutyunyan just flailing slightly. And Khodzhiev with some good work there on the inside as Harutyunyan came forward. Found his range well. And again, good footwork. He's an impish little fighter. Sprightly, just bounces off those toes at times when he needs to, but also when he's needed to, he's dug those toes in a bit and let his hands go. A similar round to the first one. I think Harutyunyan did some good stuff in the first half of that round. Then in the second 90 seconds, Khodzhiev was more to the fore. No one really landing there, the heads cracking together. In that exchange, it was Khodzhiev who had the better of it.
Секунданты за ринг. Третий Третий раунд.
Again, the battle of the jabs there. Harutyunyan threw his, and as soon as he threw his, Khodzhiev answered with his southpaw jab and landed first. And there he is, just on the borderline of range there, Khodzhiev. He's just hanging his chin out every now and again, trusting those reflexes and his ability to counter Harutyunyan due to that superior hand speed. Good left hand there from Khodzhiev, and then rolls away underneath it. Referee just having a word with him about bringing that head in low. I know what Luka Vadalonga means there, because after he threw that left hand, he rolled off to his left hand side and he wasn't far away from Harutyunyan. But given the height he is, there's not that much he can do about the head coming in low. That's good footwork again from Khodzhiev. Just turned Harutyunyan out of the corner. Harutyunyan just sticking to his task here. For me, he just needs to throw that jab as often as he can and just try and make it land on something. Khodzhiev is a slippery guy to try and catch to the head, but the way he stands quite square with those hands down, you can hit him to the chest and the shoulders. And if you can do that, you can make him offset and start again. You can make his life difficult. You can get on top of him that way, I think. You might need two phases of attack at times to drive him back and then drive him back to the ropes with the second. And it's easy from here, of course, but I don't think what you don't really want to do against someone like Khodzhiev is just be looking for headshots all the time, because that is going to be hard. Into the final minute of round 3. That's a good jab, though. It was a jab that he turned into a hook, really, late on. Harutyunyan there with the 1-2. He's slightly short with that. Just maybe needs to get those feet a touch closer, but that's where Khodzhiev has been really good. He's kind of messed with that distance. Heading up towards the midway stage. Right hand into the body. That was a good shot there from Harutyunyan. It's that kind of punch which I think he can land quite regularly. Jab, I think, did hit the shoulders, and then he turned off there, Khodzhiev. And this is better pressure towards the end of the round here, I think, from Harutyunyan. There goes the bell. There's not been loads in these first 3 rounds. Harutyunyan likes that round. For me, it's been Khodzhiev who's picked the better punches of the two, but as I say, the dynamic can play a part, and Harutyunyan has, from the beginning, right the way through to now, been the one on the front foot looking to step in and let his hands go, but it's all about interpreting dominance for the IBA judges, and dominance is achieved by landing punches, quite simply. But it's another good fight, this, another good match. The tightest fight we've had tonight so far. And stepping up and boxing in this IBA Pro Series takes these fighters beyond 3 rounds, of course.
Секунданты за ринг.
Which is not something that you get to experience in amateur
Четвертый
boxing,
раунд.
not since the departure of the beloved WSB a few years ago, although it is, I hear, going to be returning. That was over the 5 3-minute rounds, and it's certainly prepared fighters for the longer duration of pro boxing really, really well. It was a brilliant slipstream into the pros for so many top-level fighters. And what will be interesting in the second half of this is whether Khodzhiev can sustain that fleetness of foot. The feints are good from Khodzhiev because they just make Harutyunyan think He'd thrown a couple of jabs there. He was inching closer. He was just about to throw another one. Khodzhiev put him off with a feint and then threw his own. He almost has to just ignore the feints if he can, Harutyunyan, and just keep pressing the action. Get that front foot a bit closer if that's what he needs to do. And then let those hands go. Find the target. Long right hand from Harutyunyan. The crowd liked it, but I'm not totally sure if it landed. Just short with the jab. Again there, Harutyunyan. Khodzhiev immediately looking to take advantage of that. He's done that really well. He'll just keep those hands down. He'll trigger it. He'll look for it. He'll tempt you into it. Just pull back. Make you fall short by a fraction. And then bounce off that back foot and look to land himself. Straight left hand, single left hand there from Khodzhiev. Pierced the guard. Into the final minute of round 4, and all these rounds will be pretty similar from where I'm sitting. It's been a case of Khodzhiev just picking the better punches, as he did again there. But there's 3 scoring judges at ringside, and those verdicts are the ones that will count. But the second half of this round in particular, I think Khodzhiev has really landed some decent shots, some easy punches to see as well for those ringside officials. And it could be it's Harutyunyan out of the two of them who's beginning to slow down the touch. He gets cuffed by a nice jab on the way in there. Long right hand from Harutyunyan right at the end of the round does land. And there's that right hand at the end of the 3 minutes. He was just pulling back there, trying to get out of range, using that upper body, Khodzhiev, and he got caught with that one. And that's what I mean about 2 phases of attack, really. If you could drive him onto the back foot, but keep your feet underneath you, then drive him back again. Even if the first time you don't really reach him, if you could drive him back again, then you might catch up with him. But what he's been good at as well, Khodzhiev, is just turning around that front foot. He'll know against someone like Harutyunyan that he cannot afford to just go back in straight lines. We're in the 5th of 6 scheduled here. The home fighter, Artur Harutyunyan. Baregham Harutyunyan, I beg your pardon. Artur Harutyunyan is another fighter of Armenian descent. He was also a very good amateur. Harutyunyan's in the white, 35 years old. Boxing in front of a home crowd. Anvarzan Khodzhiev from Bishkek in Kyrgyzstan. Nice right hand on the inside there. Close up from Harutyunyan. Just stayed in. Three, 4 rounds. Difficult to say where the judges would have gone with it. I would have Khodzhiev ahead. I say it's difficult because of that formula I've been mentioning right from the start, where I feel like Khodzhiev has picked the better punches, boxing mainly off the back foot. But Harutyunyan has had success, and he's been the one looking to try and dictate terms, which does win favour often with some ringside judges. Long right hand from Harutyunyan and just pushes Khodzhiev into the ropes, and I think the home fighter having a decent round in round 5. There's that left hand again from Khodzhiev, and then just turns around that front foot, just pivots around that front foot and disappears off behind Harutyunyan. He lands a decent jab there. I think both of these two are feeling this. As I said, they're not used to a 6-round duration. Khodzhiev almost looking out of the ring there, looking towards the corner. And it's been quite a stop-start this round. I would say that this is a Harutyunyan round. He's managed to just keep that tempo a little bit higher. Again, I don't think he's landed an awful lot all that clean, but I don't think Khodzhiev has either. And Khodzhiev, I think, might, out of the two of them, just be feeling this a little bit more, or maybe in that round he was looking to conserve a bit of energy. 1 to go here. 3 more fights coming your way after this. We've got Rafael Hovhannisyan up against Otari GOGOBERISHVILI. That's a cruiserweight, IBA cruiserweight, 86 kilos, 6 rounds. Then an 8-rounder at super heavyweight, 92 plus between Davit Chaloyan, the home fighter again, silver medalist at the 2021 World Championships, Paris Olympian. He's up against Taimoor of Pakistan. Then top of the card we have got Murat Gassiev up against Ljungquist. 10 rounds at heavyweight. We've already seen a win for DZUKAEV against Rakhmatullo BOYMATOV in our opening fight of the night. That was 6 at 86 kilos. And then in our last fight, Artur Bazeyan with a good win against VACULA.
Финальный 6-й раунд.
So into the final round. Harutyunyan in the white, Khodzhiev in the black. Back into orthodox here, Khodzhiev. And he's creeping forward. He's looking to take the centre of the ring a little bit more here. Good lead left hook there from Khodzhiev. Jab to the body from Khodzhiev, but a right hand to the body from Harutyunyan. And he has gone down to that torso area a bit more as the fight has gone on. He's punching down because he's that much taller than Khodzhiev anyway. He'd be 4 inches taller than him probably. Much longer reach. But I feel like in these last couple of rounds, he's got to grips with things a little bit better, maybe because Khodzhiev's feet have slowed down a touch. Although Khodzhiev here just nice and quick across the ring. Slight change of dynamic from him. Maybe he feels he needs to try and boss things more in this final round. I think both corners would feel going into this final round that it's close. I don't think you can really tell your fighter anything else. And it is a bit scrappy. Into the final minute, and no one's really grabbed this round by the scruff of its neck. Looking to put some meat on the right hand there, Khodzhiev. Sets his feet for another one. Harutyunyan swinging with his right, doesn't quite manage to land it, and still just something accurate, something really clean from either one of these two right towards the end of the round could be enough to take this one. Just setting his feet and swinging more in this round, Khodzhiev. I don't think he's really got it in the tank to do much more than that, to be honest. Rounds 5 and 6, he has really slowed down towards the end here, though. He just gives us a little shuffle, but that's not going to prove much to the judges. Right hand there from Harutyunyan. The bell has gone, an embrace between the two. Harutyunyan is confident. I would give him rounds 5 and 6, I reckon. The first 4, I thought Khodzhiev did the better work. I think this is going to be close. Again, it does depend really on what the judges see, how they interpret the work of these two fighters. I thought Khodzhiev picked some good punches off the back foot. I think he tired towards the end. And in the final round, I think went about things in a manner which didn't really suit him. It was quite different to how he did things for the rest of the fight. Harutyunyan seems confident. It'll go to the cards and we shall see.
Дамы и господа, и прежде чем прозвучит имя победителя, ваши аплодисменты обоим боксерам. Итак, дамы и господа, в этом очень близком и ярком поединке единогласным решением судей победу по очкам одержал and your winner by unanimous decision from the black corner, Anvarzhan.
Khodzhiev gets it by unanimous decision. I make that a good decision by the judges. I thought Harutyunyan probably did have the best of rounds 5 and 6. But I thought before that it was Khodzhiev who picked the better punches. Harutyunyan can't quite believe it, but I think the judges have got that one right. Harutyunyan was coming forward, always hustling, bustling, looking aggressive, forcing the pace, but it was Khodzhiev in those first 4 especially who was the more accurate. Made his opponent fall short, countered him. You don't always get those decisions when you're the away fighter, so I give the judges credit there. In exchanges like that, he was coming off best. When those reflexes were on point, when that lateral movement was on point, the way he just hinges at the waist or tries to and just pulls back off punches, that worked well for the first 4 rounds. It deserted him a bit in the final 2 rounds, and when that happens, then all of a sudden things become different. And in the 6th round, he actually just fought a completely different fight. He looked to try and take the centre of the ring. He went orthodox rather than southpaw, and he looked to set his feet and let his hands go more. But you could see Harutyunyan absolutely expected to get that. He absolutely expected to get that. He didn't go his way tonight. But good sportsmanship all the same. He still looks pretty bemused.
Дамы и господа, здравствуйте! Baregham, Армения! Из гостеприимной столицы Армении Еревана в прямом эфире грандиозное боксерское шоу «Ночь чемпионов IBA». Шоу представляют Международная ассоциация бокса IBA при личной поддержке президента IBA Умара Назаровича Кремлева, промоутерской компании «Патриот», Урал Боксинг Промоушенс и Iron and Gloves Promotions при поддержке Федерации бокса Армении. Генеральный партнер Международной ассоциации бокса IBA «Газпром». Официальный партнер вечера бокса – букмекерская компания «Бэтбум». Дамы и господа, нас ожидают 4 поединка основного карда, в том числе главное событие вечера – 10-раундовый поединок в тяжелом весе, в котором сойдутся устрашающий нокаутер Мурат Gassiev, Россия, против незнающего поражений датчанина Ljungquista. Дамы и господа, нас ожидает 6-раундовый поединок в весовой категории до 86 килограммов. Но прежде, чем боксеры поднимутся в этот ринг, Международная боксерская ассоциация IBA выражает признательность Армении за невероятно теплый прием. И сейчас, дамы и господа, звучит государственный гимн Армении. Итак, дамы и господа, мы продолжаем, и на очереди 6-раундовый поединок в весовой категории до 86 килограммов. Рефери в ринге Сергей Журкин, Россия. И первым добро пожаловать в черный угол ринга боксер, представляющий Грузию. Приветствуйте, Отари Гогоберишвили!
So here comes Otari GOGOBERISHVILI from Tbilisi in Georgia. He's a much-travelled away corner fighter. Most of his 7 wins have come in Georgia, but he has picked up wins on the road in Sweden and Germany in 2019. That was a good year for him. He's not been super active recently, I think that's fair to say. He was out for 2.5 years between late September and mid-2022. Came back with a first round win and hasn't boxed since then, but he is very experienced, also a professional kickboxer.
Ну а сейчас, дамы и господа, прошу приветствуйте на пути в золотой угол ринга из Еревана, Армения, Рafayel Hovhannisyan.
And making his way to the ring now, Rafael Hovhannisyan, another hometown fighter. Went to the World Championships in Tashkent last year, won a couple of fights before being eliminated, and then was so close to making it to the Paris Olympics. Went to qualifiers in Italy and Thailand, but in Bangkok he lost the box off to Hussein Ashish of Jordan, and that would have been extremely hard to take. So near and yet so far, but here he is in the IBA Pro Series, starting a new chapter in his career.
Итак, дамы и господа, представляю участников этого боя. Первый боксер в черном углу ринга. Ему 26 лет, его рост 189 сантиметров, официальный вес 85,5 килограмма. Его рекорд насчитывает 22 боя. Идущий на серии из 2 побед, он представляет Тбилиси, Грузия. Вот он, Otari, GOGOBERISHVILI! Боксеру в золотом углу 23 года. Его рост 186 сантиметров, а вес 84,2 килограмма. Мастер спорта международного класса. Участник 2 чемпионатов мира. Финалист чемпионата Европы из Еревана, Армения. Рafayel Hovhannisyan.
This fight at 86 kilos, IBA cruiserweight. Bit of a height advantage there for Hovhannisyan. .86 kilos, by the way, is
Первый раунд.
190 pounds. So the old professional cruiser weight limit, that was increased about 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, to 200 pounds. So when he looked to qualify for the Olympics, Hovhannisyan, he would have attempted that at 92 kilos in the heavyweight division. So he would have been small for that weight, which would not have made the task any easier. He's in the white, GOGOBERISHVILI in the black. Trying to step into a combination there, Hovhannisyan. Nice left hand to the body. Tight guard. GOGOBERISHVILI. A right hand gets through it there, and at the minute, the Georgian's just kind of standing in range and just tempting Hovhannisyan to unload on him a bit, which I don't think is necessarily a great ploy, because the guard looks okay, but a couple have got through. And when he gets those gloves up high, as you look at him there is room around the back of the elbows there to go to the body. I think Hovhannisyan will have spotted that, and I think that could be a good plan for him. Acknowledging somebody outside of the ring there, GOGOBERISHVILI, and when you do what he does, which is box out of the away corner, and as I said, he's not been all that active. Nice little right hand just curled over the top there from GOGOBERISHVILI. You learn all the tricks, all the tactics that can help you navigate your way through the rounds. And he's talking to his opponent in there, gesturing towards him every now and again, just trying to break his conversation, trying to almost become his friend. It's interesting to see how these guys go about their work. Anything they can do to diffuse the opponent in front of them, and they will 100% attempt it. Into the final few seconds of round one. He's thrown a few singles here, GOGOBERISHVILI. Not too much more than that. Hovhannisyan scored with some decent shots. A shake of the head there from GOGOBERISHVILI. There's a long way to go here. Right hand into the body. There was a left to the body too. He just has to ignore some of the antics in front of him and stick to the task here, Hovhannisyan. And the first thing to do in the second round is he just needs to get his feet a little bit closer.
Секундаты за ринг. Второй раунд.
Into the second. And again, just holding up that glove there and having a quick chat. And the referee, I think they're just gesturing to GOGOBERISHVILI to just keep his mouth shut, basically. Stop talking. I think that was what the referee was saying to him, because he is trying to distract Hovhannisyan. And that is much more permissible in a pro ring than it is in an amateur ring. But these fighters turning over from amateur careers like Hovhannisyan is doing won't really have seen that kind of game playing much before, because it's just not tolerated in IBA amateur boxing. Again, trying to jab his way in and then just strangles the right hand a bit there, Hovhannisyan. Gets close enough there to let his hands go. There's not that much coming back from GOGOBERISHVILI, but his upper body movement was pretty good there when he was back on the ropes. But Hovhannisyan just needed to get slightly closer there, and he could have really landed, because there was nowhere for GOGOBERISHVILI to go. Every now and again he'll launch something, the Georgian, to try and make you think, to try and keep you off. That's nice from Hovhannisyan. It's a good combination. Just dipped his knees. Nice right hand there too. He's got plenty of time here. He doesn't want to get frustrated or irritated. And there's no sign that he is falling into that trap, because that's exactly what GOGOBERISHVILI will want. Good use of the feet there from GOGOBERISHVILI. Just pulled them out of range as Hovhannisyan was trying to step to him. And then steps in and throws a right hand. He's got some skills, GOGOBERISHVILI, no question about that. The shape on him is pretty good. The right hand lands there though from Hovhannisyan right towards the end of the round. I remember coming to Yerevan for the first time in 2012 for the World Youth Championships. And there were some good fighters on show in that tournament. Murat Akhmatullo was one of them. Otari was another one. After he'd been to the Olympic Games earlier in the year, an amazing achievement by him to go to an Olympics whilst he was still a youth fighter. Akhmatullo did pick up a gold medal. Otari a bronze. But it was a fascinating city to come to then, and nothing really has changed. So into the third round, and Hovhannisyan just looking to start nice and strong there, stepped in and threw the right hand. I think he needs to bring the heat to GOGOBERISHVILI in a slightly more consistent manner, and it would be good to see him just bit by bit raise the tempo here. This is a 6-round duration. That's not something that he is used to, of course, and you have to be mindful of that. But he is fairly economical. He doesn't waste much. GOGOBERISHVILI was just looking for a short right hand there as Hovhannisyan was coming in. Right hand there from Hovhannisyan, I think did score, then went underneath with an uppercut to the body. Just out of range there, GOGOBERISHVILI, trying to tempt Hovhannisyan in and then look for the counter. As he slides his feet in there, GOGOBERISHVILI, you can see that he has got some decent technique, just took those feet in nicely, let the 1-2 go as he was on the way in. I think he'll know that he maybe doesn't really have it in the tank after such a long absence to do 6 rounds at a pace, and that's why he's trying to make this disjointed. But he was on the end of a combination there and then another one, and Hovhannisyan is just beginning to get to him here in the final minute of round 3. Final knockings of round 3, so we're at the halfway stage. Flurry on the inside there from Hovhannisyan. I'm not sure how much of that landed clean, but he's winning these rounds. Doing a solid job so far. Nothing too spectacular, but just sticking to the task in hand, and maybe in the second half of the fight he'll be able to really put them together. He did land some good shots in that third round though, as we're seeing. Just bit by bit he's found that distance.
Секунданты за ринг. Четвертый раунд.
Decent use of the lead hand there from GOGOBERISHVILI. Just inched forward and then pecked with the jab, and he didn't do any damage, but he did manage to land it. Hovhannisyan, little feint with the front foot. GOGOBERISHVILI was short with the 1-2, knew it, got his hands back quite quick. Hovhannisyan just pushing him back to the ropes there. The gloves were up from GOGOBERISHVILI. A right hand just came in around the back of the guard, and again he's just beckoning Hovhannisyan in there, GOGOBERISHVILI. And you can see why he's done well on the road. In his 12 defeats, he's only been stopped once, and that was by Kevin Sadjo in 2017. Sadjo, who has subsequently gone on to win the European super middleweight title, so he's a fighter of real quality. But outside of him, nobody has managed to do it, and he's chosen that life on the road because it is the best way for him to earn a living. But as I've been saying from the beginning, you can see that he does have some ability. It's funny because a lot of Georgian fighters do pretty well in the amateurs. Their amateur setup is fairly strong. They don't win bundles of medals, but you look at someone like Lasha Garuli in the recent Olympics and the career that he's had, and they produce good fighters down the years, but they generally haven't ever really gone on to do anything as pros. The infrastructure just isn't there within Georgia, and they've not been picked up by overseas promoters in a way that other fighters from a similar region have been. You think about Armenian fighters, Bosnian fighters, Turkish fighters forging careers in Germany, for example. There's been a real history of that. It's not really happened for the Georgians, but they do produce a lot of good boxers. Well, the referee hadn't called break there, and Hovhannisyan was trying to profit from that and see if he could find a gap, because he could tell that GOGOBERISHVILI had given up on the round at that point. That right hand round the back of the guard is the one that's worked best. Those straight shots, the guard is up and some of them cannon through. But that one just round the back of the guard. That's always the one most likely to sneak through in those kinds of scenarios, I think.
Секундати за ринг. Пятый раунд.
So into the fifth. Hovhannisyan in control of this. He's in the white. GOGOBERISHVILI from Tbilisi, Georgia, is in the black, and it would be good to see if Hovhannisyan can just, as I was saying previously, put his foot on the gas a bit towards the end here. He won't want to blow a gasket by going for things too hard too soon over what is a new duration for him. But in the second half of this round, and then in the final round, the finish tape is in sight, really. And I think he can afford to just push himself as hard as he can. And you can say the same for the opponent. When you've got an opponent like GOGOBERISHVILI who's looking to get through, when they get to that stage of the fight where they can see the finish line in the distance as well, that's big for them too, because if they've been under the cosh, which he's not been too much, the Georgian, but if they have been, it's those middle rounds when it can feel really hard, and that's where you've really got to dig in. Once you can get past halfway and get nearer towards the back end, you feel like you're almost there. All of a sudden, things can just seem that little bit easier. Midway through round 5. That's a decent 1-2 there from Hovhannisyan. Let his gloves go in rapid succession. Right-handed to the body there from GOGOBERISHVILI. He's worked the outer clock face of the ring well in this round. Hovhannisyan slightly over-eager there, poured forward. The weight came over the top of that front foot. He lost his balance a little bit. I think he's beginning to find this a bit frustrating because there were signs, I think, in the third round, towards the end of the third round, that maybe the second half of the fight he could really put a dent in GOGOBERISHVILI, but it's just not happened, not as yet anyway.
Секунданты за ринг. Финальный шестой раунд.
Into the 6th and final round between Rafael Hovhannisyan of Yerevan, he's in the white. Otari GOGOBERISHVILI from Tbilisi, Georgia, in the black. And it's been a pretty straightforward formula from the beginning here. Hovhannisyan making his IBA Pro debut, looking to impress in front of a home crowd. GOGOBERISHVILI, a seasoned away corner fighter who's not boxed much in recent years, has been using his know-how to navigate these 18 minutes. He got clumped hard by a left hand early in the round there, GOGOBERISHVILI. But the visitor has done a good job here, because it looks like he will make it to the final bell. Hovhannisyan has stuck to his gun, stuck to his task. That was a decent looking 1-2 again there from Hovhannisyan. Just before that, GOGOBERISHVILI did manage to land the right hand. He's got enough about him, this Georgian fighter, to be able to stay out of trouble. He's got the technique to be able to do that most of the time, and he can keep you honest by landing the odd shot too. So Hovhannisyan has walked through whatever has been sent his way when it has been accurate. But he's found it difficult to pin his opponent down for sustained periods, and you have to give the man you're up against credit, I think, when that is the case. He avoided that combination quite comfortably there, GOGOBERISHVILI. Just shifted his weight onto the back foot and slipped those couple of shots. Just over a minute remaining. It's not been as good to watch as the first 3 fights. This one, it's not been the same kind of fight. It's not, in a sense, been all that competitive, because the man in black has come to survive, really. He was caught by a couple there in a 5 or 6 punch combination from Hovhannisyan. But still, it's been okay, and this one will roll us into our last 2 fights, one featuring David Chaloyan of Armenia. He'll get a big roar from this Yerevan crowd, a 2021 World Championship silver medalist. He's up against Taimoor of Pakistan, and then top of the bill, 10 rounds at heavyweight between Murat Gassiev, a former unified cruiserweight world champion. He takes on the undefeated 18-0 Ljungquist. Letting his hands go here, Hovhannisyan, but GOGOBERISHVILI is not just going to try and cover up and absorb them. He throws a few back himself. There goes the belt. Hovhannisyan knows that he's got the win in the bag here, which is always the most important thing. This is IBA Pro debut. GOGOBERISHVILI will know that he hasn't, but he has done what he came here to do, something that he is very seasoned at doing, which is going the distance without taking too much punishment. He's boxed in the Czech Republic, Belgium, Spain, Switzerland, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Sweden, Italy, and now Armenia, as well as Georgia as a pro. And you can see some of the marking around the features there of GOGOBERISHVILI. It's not like he managed to go for a walk in the rain there without getting wet, because that's impossible. He's had to take a few good clean ones from Hovhannisyan. Okay, let's get the final announcement, although I don't think there's any doubt about which way this one's going to go.
Дамы и господа, прежде чем мы узнаем имя победителя, давайте аплодисментами поблагодарим обоих боксеров, которые выдали этот яркий и бескомпромиссный поединок. Итак, дамы и господа, в этом бою единогласным решением судей победу по очкам одержал из золотого угла Рafayel Hovhannisyan.
So Hovhannisyan
Armenia
gets the win on his IBA Pro debut. Off to a good start, putting that Olympic disappointment from earlier in the year behind him. As I said at the beginning, opening a new chapter on his career. A career which has got a long time left to run to, in just his early 20s. I'm sure we will be seeing him again before too long. Good example there, really, of how difficult GOGOBERISHVILI was. It wasn't that he didn't manage to catch him with some good hard punches, he did. But it was hard for him to just get him going, get him on the run, because he was good enough at tucking up, at slipping punches, at just landing his own there as Hovhannisyan's coming in. A couple of short punches just makes you think you don't want to take any absolute liberties, and that's a good solid right hand, and he just managed to ride it slightly, and again there he's pulling slightly off as the right makes contact.
Дамы и господа, подписывайтесь на телеграм-канал IBA. Все главные новости бокса и лучшие фото и видео. Сканируйте QR-код на экране и будьте частью семьи IBA. Итак, дамы и господа, мы идем далее. На очереди пятый поединок нашего вечера. Четвертьфинал Кубка мира IBA Pro. 8-раундовый поединок в тяжелом весе. Рефери поединка Валерий Пастухов, Молдова. И сейчас добро пожаловать в черный угол ринга. Боксер, представляющий Пакистан. Приветствуйте, Taimoor Khan.
Taimoor Khan's record reads 13 fights, 13 wins, 12 coming by knockouts. Went the distance over 4 rounds in his first fight. Every single fight since then has ended in a stoppage win. He's won the Pakistan heavyweight title, the Asian Boxing Federation heavyweight title. 6 of his fights have finished in the first round. But he is up against a very tough opponent tonight. The kind of opponent he may well have not run into before in terms of the quality that Davit Chaloyan can bring.
А вот и его соперник, который через считанные мгновения займет золотой угол ринга. Он представляет Gyumri, Армения. Приветствуйте, Davit Chaloyan.
Chaloyan has won multiple national titles in Armenia. As mentioned, he won a silver medal in the World Championships in Belgrade. I was ringside for that final against Mark Petrovsky. It was very, very close. My feeling was at the end that Chaloyan had just done enough, but Petrovsky got it, and you couldn't begrudge him. He turned in a series of unbelievable performances, the Russian, over the space of the 2 weeks. He was in war after war after war. He got to the quarterfinals of the Euros in 2022, has boxed in the World Championships and the European Championships since then, and made it to the Paris Olympics. Won his first fight against Alicius Ori and then lost to Ayub Gadfa in the last 8, so we're so close to an Olympic medal. This fight in the IBA super heavyweight division, so over 92 kilos.
Итак, дамы и господа, нас ожидает 8 раундов в тяжелом весе. Это четвертьфинал Кубка мира IBA Pro. Представляю участников поединка и первым боксером в черном углу. Ему 28 лет, рост 190 сантиметров, официальный вес 95,2 килограмма. Многократный чемпион Пакистана, действующий чемпион Азиатской боксерской ассоциации в тяжелом весе, не знающий поражений, с рекордом 13 боев, 13 побед, 12 из них нокаутом, из Исламабада, Пакистан, Taimoor Khan. Его сопернику напротив, в золотом углу ринга, 27 лет. Его рост 197 сантиметров, а вес 106,3 килограмма. Мастер спорта международного класса, финалист чемпионата мира, участник Олимпийских игр в Париже. Сегодня он проводит первый поединок в профессиональной карьере из Gyumri, Армения. Davit Chaloyan.
Chaloyan in the white, Khan in the black. And significant differences between them there. Chaloyan taller, a lot heavier. Just over a 10 kilo difference between the pair of them, which translates at about 25 pounds, that difference. So not far off a couple of stone. And Chaloyan is tall. He's 6'6", 6'7". Khan is not short. He's just not quite as tall as his opponent. Despite that, Chaloyan is in good shape. He looks pretty lean, actually. Maybe leaner than I've seen him. Those Olympic rings tattooed on the shoulder blade. And he does tend to use that height and the reach that comes with it. Nice combination there from Chaloyan. Rattled that one off and then dipped his knees and threw the right into the body. That was a good punch. Good jab from Chaloyan. Carries that lead left hand quite low. Manages to send it up through the guard. And he started well, started nice and quick. Khan is trying to take the centre, trying to walk him down, but isn't able to get too much done at the moment. Maybe waiting a little bit too long, the Pakistani fighter, before getting his own punches off. That's a good combination from Chaloyan again there. Jab to the body there from Chaloyan. Khan, as I said, he's bringing those feet in, he's inching in, he's looking to try and catch that jab, but he is waiting too long before he gets his own punches off. It's Chaloyan who's initiating every exchange, really, and a good right hand there from Khan, who shakes his head, but trying to just tuck up behind that guard is going to be a difficult thing to do. The way he's fighting, it's almost like he's assuming that Chaloyan will slow down at some stage, and if he just keeps doing this, then he'll empty his tank, and maybe he can come into things as the fight progresses. But Chaloyan didn't have to expend too much effort in that opening round, to be perfectly honest. He's just turning from the waist, letting his hands go, and winning the round comfortably. Got good mechanics, Chaloyan, so he doesn't really need to load up on anything. Come on there, maybe just taking a round to acclimatise. As I said, Chaloyan is a much higher pedigree of fighter than anybody he's been in with up until this point, and he'll have known that. So maybe just using that round as getting to know you kind of round, and possibly he feels actually this isn't as bad as I feared
Seconds out
in terms of the power that's been heading his way, but that was just a warm-up kind of round for the Armenian too.
Второй раунд.
Let's go with the left hook there, Khan. That's better. And he's looking a little bit more aggressive at the start of round two, which is a good thing to see. Good jab from Chaloyan. Khan comes pouring forward there, a little bit ungainly. Chaloyan goes to the body and switches up to the head. That right hand got through around the back of the guard. I think Khan might have been a little bit hurt by one of these. He's in trouble here. Taimoor Khan, he's looking to grab hold of Chaloyan and ride this out, but I think a right hand in round the back of his left glove just stunned him a bit. And it's not rocket science this for Chaloyan. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Use that jab. And measure that right hand. Because Khan is just standing in range for it almost all of the time. He's backing his guard here, Khan, and I'm not sure he's right to do it. Again, another shake of the head. He's brave here, the Pakistani, but this is dangerous. It's difficult to see how he can take 8 rounds of this. Right hand into the body. Again, swooped in and got some good leverage behind it. Again, the right hand lands and down he goes. He was caught perfectly there. Ideal kind of range as that right hand landed, and he just cannot stand in range like that, Khan, and the referee looks at him and has decided that he doesn't need to see any more. Khan doesn't really complain too much. It was target practice in there really for Chaloyan. Khan, as I say, tried to keep that guard in place, but he was just standing in range and inviting the punches. And again, there's that right hand in round the back of the guard. That's the key one. And then he's chopping down with the right hand. Khan tries to get in and get a hold of him. That was towards the end of the previous round. And the jab again, just through the guard, just knocking the head back. He was accurate, Chaloyan. He's measuring to the right hand, and that was a beautiful right. Just clipped him on the chin. Turned his hand over on it so well. That's a great angle of it there, and he goes down, and the referee, some could say that was a little bit of a premature stoppage, but we knew what was coming. We all knew what was coming, and I think Khan will be grateful for the intervention of the referee there. Levels separated these two, as we suspected they might. And if Khan was going to try and survive in that kind of situation, then he needed to be a little bit cleverer about it. Just try and use his feet a bit more, stay out of range a little bit more, rather than just stand in range, which unfortunately was what he chose to do. And Chaloyan just teed off on him. Didn't go crazy and load up on everything, just let the punches flow, and that was enough.
Дамы и господа, рефери Валерий Пастухов остановил поединок на отметке 2 минуты и 32 секунды второго раунда. Таким образом, техническим нокаутом победу одержал и стал полуфиналистом Кубка мира IBA Pro из Армении Давит Chaloyan.
And it's another win for a home fighter. And it'll be really interesting to see what he can go on and achieve in pro boxing, Chaloyan, because he's got the fundamentals. He's 6'6", 6'7". He weighed in 106 kilos, which is 235, 236, somewhere around there. So heading up towards 17 stone. There's a bit more weight that can go on there yet, I think, with pro training. He's got good technique. He's just a good fighter all round. There are definite possibilities there, and Taimoor Khan was a standing target for him. But you can see the way that he throws the punches there, the weight transfer, the way he just turns at the waist. He gets those feet in close. He doesn't reach or chase punches in. He's got his feet underneath him. And we'll have a look at the right hand that caused the end of the fight. There. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Just rocked the chin there of Taimoor Khan. He did get back to his feet, but the referee could see what was unfolding in front of him and stepped in and stopped the fight, which was a good decision. So one fight remaining for us, and that's heavyweight as well. Murat Gassiev and Kem Ljungquist. And that will come in the recognised professional weight division of heavyweight, which exists, of course, over 200 pounds. Gassiev 30 wins, 2 defeats. One of them came in the final of the World Boxing Super Series against Alexander Usyk.
Ну что ж, дамы и господа, через считанные минуты начнется главное событие вечера. Напоминаю, нас ожидают 10 раундов в тяжелом весе. Мурат Gassiev, Россия, против не знающего поражений Кема Ljungquista, Дания. Все самое интересное начнется совсем скоро.
That other defeat for Gassiev came in his last fight against Otto Wallin. That was in Antalya last September, lost by split decision. A fight really he was supposed to win. That was the idea anyway. And that was just when Riyadh season was beginning to crystallise and become a real thing. And Wallin, of course, off the back of that win, got a fight with Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia a couple of days before Christmas. So Gassiev would have looked on at that with great envy, I'm sure. So he needs to rebound tonight. Since he's moved up to heavyweight after the World Boxing Super Series in 2018, he's been very inactive. There's been COVID, of course. There have been other complications that have stood in the way of him getting the fights that he's wanted, but he needs to win tonight, and ideally he needs to win well and then really kick on. Ljungquist is 18-0. Turned pro with Sauerland off the back of a decent international amateur career. Boxed some WSB as well as boxing internationally for Denmark. But he's been matched very cautiously, I think it's fair to say that. Biggest win came in May last year when he picked up the IBF International against Sefer Seferi, who held a good record of 25-3-1, but has struggled when he stepped up to a level. Stopped in 3 by Kevin Lorena, retired after 4 against Tyson Fury. And he's boxed twice this year. So that coming up next, our final fight of the night, Murat Gassiev against Kem Ljungquist.
Дамы и господа, подписывайтесь на телеграм-канал IBA. Все главные новости бокса и лучшие фото и видео. Сканируйте QR-код на экране и будьте частью семьи IBA. Ну а до главного события вечера, поединка Мурата Gassieва и Кема Ljungquista, остается ровно 10 минут. Поэтому занимайте ваши места в зале. Дамы и господа, главное событие вечера Мурат Gassiev, Ljungquist начнется через 3 минуты. Дамы и господа, Международная ассоциация бокса IBA при личной поддержке президента IBA Умара Назаровича Кремлева, промоутерские компании «Патриот», «Урал Боксинг Промоушенс» и «Iron and Gloves Promotions» при поддержке Федерации бокса Армении, генеральный партнер Международной ассоциации бокса IBA «Газпром», официальный партнер вечера бокса букмекерская компания BetBoom представляет вашему вниманию главное событие вечера – 10-раундовый поединок в тяжелом весе. Дамы и господа, прошу приветствуйте на пути в черный угол ринга боксер, прибывший из Копенгагена, Дания. Вот он! Ljungquist.
So time now for our main event. And making his way to the ring here is Ljungquist, 34 years old, from Copenhagen in Denmark, 18 fights and 18 wins. As an amateur, reached the quarterfinals of the European Championships, boxed in World Series Boxing, which was such a great apprenticeship for professional boxing, and undefeated so far. And this, to be honest, is a step up that he needs, because It's been a slow burn, his professional career up until this point. He's done everything that has been required of him, but he needs to make some strides at 34. He needs to start making some waves in the division if he's really going to have an impact. He's boxed twice this year, one by majority decision over 10 in March, and then by 7th round stoppage in May.
Сейчас добро пожаловать в золотой угол ринга. Его соперник, экс-чемпион мира по версии IBA в первом тяжелом весе из Владикавказа, Россия, Мурат Gassiev!
And here comes Gassiev, the former unified cruiserweight champion. Won the IBF title in Russia against Denis Lebedev. Entered the World Boxing Super Series later that year in 2017, and in the semi-final in an epic encounter with Uniel Dorticos, added the WBA. He won by 12th round stoppage. He was clear on a couple of the cards, but it was just such a good fight. And then in the final, he ran into Alexander Usyk, and unfortunately the Ukrainian proved to be too good for him. At which point he moved up to heavyweight, and things just haven't really happened. He hasn't had the fights that he would have wanted to, and then when he got one that he did want against Otto Wallin late last year, he lost by split decision over 10 rounds, which was a big blow. Wallin then went on and got the fight against Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia just before Christmas, and Gassiev would have watched that unfold with horror almost at the opportunity that he had missed, potentially. He needs the win tonight. Like Ljungquist, he needs to ignite his career.
Итак, дамы и господа, главное событие вечера стартует буквально через считанные минуты. А сейчас прошу приветствуйте официальный гимн Международной боксерской ассоциации IBA. Дамы и господа, представляю официальных лиц. Поединок санкционирован Советом профессионального бокса Армении. Супервайзер Хачатур Хачатрян, Армения. Судьи в рингсайде. Per Kjerulf Hansen, Дания. Болчугабриш, Венгрия. И из Германии Йорг Милке. Хронометрист Ливон Антонян. Доктор в рингсайде Гамлет Бегаян, Армения. Рефери поединка из Дании Фредди Рафн. Итак, дамы и господа, представляю участников этого боя и первым бойца слева от меня в черном углу. Ему 34 года. Его рост 2 метра ровно. На весах он показал 106 килограммов и 450 граммов. Он представляет Копенгаген, Дания. Его рекорд безупречен. 18 боев, 18 побед, 11 из них нокаутом. Чемпион IBF International в тяжелом весе, не знающий поражений, Ljungquist. Боксеру в золотом углу ринга 31 год. Его рост 192 сантиметра, а вес 104 килограмма и 350 граммов. Он представляет Владикавказ, Северная Осетия, Алания, Россия. Его впечатляющий рекорд насчитывает 32 боя, 30 побед при всего 2 поражениях, 23 яркие победы нокаутом. Чемпион IBF Intercontinental в первом тяжелом весе. Экс-чемпион мира по версии IBF в первом тяжелом весе. Финалист всемирной боксерской суперсерии. Мастер нокаутов Мурат Ирон Gassiev. Рефери Фредди Раф и его предматчевый инструктаж.
Freddie Raffin, our referee for this one. Very experienced official. Bit of a difference in the height and the weight there between these two. Ljungquist is actually quite lean. He's very tall. 2 meters. That's about 6'7". Gassiev about 6'4". And the difference between them in weight is 6 pounds. Ljungquist in that southpaw stance. Gassiev orthodox. And as I was outlining on the ring walks, this is a big, big night for the pair of them. Whoever wins this can kick on and try and go to that next level. For the loser, it's quite a long way back. Ljungquist with the reach to go with that height. Can he use it? That's the key thing. Can he employ that southpaw jab and keep Gassiev on the end of it? Otto Wallin, of course, a southpaw. And it was Wallin who beat Gassiev last September in Antalya by that split decision over 10 rounds. And I'm sure that Ljungquist will have been paying close attention to that. They both had good notice for this. Ljungquist training at home in Copenhagen. Gassiev has been in Serpukhov, he told us, so fairly confident that will mean that he's been training down at the IBA training centre out in the forest. I've been there myself. It's an impressive setup. Just a feeling out process in round 1 so far. Nobody's landed or aimed anything particularly big so far. And as a result, not a particularly easy round to score with just a minute remaining. You look at the size difference between the pair of them there, it is pretty big. Ljungquist looks more than just that 6 pounds heavier when you see them up in the ring. He needs to try and impose that reach on Gassiev, as I said at the start. He's got to snap that southpaw jab out. Really make him feel it if he can. Gassiev with an overhand right there, kind of boomeranged it in for him a little bit wide. And Ljungquist cannot allow him to get comfortable just creeping into that sort of range. Because he's on you, Gassiev, with that front foot. He's just taking your space. He's not throwing bundles of punches, but he's just looking to use that front foot pressure. Final few seconds of round 1. That's Ljungquist. Paul Duville leading the corner. It feels like a long minute, this. I haven't got a clock on it.
Seconds out.
Well, we didn't have a 10-second clapper. They
Второй раунд. Round 2.
called back to their feet fairly promptly there. So start of round 2. Maybe that opening round would go Gassiev's way, courtesy of that one right hand, which didn't land completely clean, but of the two, he was maybe just a little bit more proactive. And at the start of the second round, he's looking to just try and get onto that front foot again. It's got the look and the feel of a spar at the moment, this fight. It's slightly odd. It's not caught fire as yet, which is not that unusual, given that it's very early in round 2, but it's just the vibe of it is really quite laid back. Gassiev could change that quickly, so could Ljungquist. Looks to try and rake with a left hand, but doesn't quite land it. And sticks with a jab there, Ljungquist. Was using it really to measure that left. Put a little bit of heat on the left hand. Love to see him just pump that jab out. Goes for a long left hand there, Ljungquist. Gassiev trying to get close. Ljungquist just pushing him off with the forearms. Ljungquist does like it at that kind of mid to long range. Again, he's looking for that right hand there, Gassiev. Just trying to curl it in around the back of the guard. A left hand got through there on the inside from Gassiev. Ljungquist though just digs his own feet in and looks to try and lead off with a right hook. It's just warming up slightly this into the last minute of round 2. Looking for that big overhand right there, Gassiev. Wasn't really in the right place. His feet weren't quite underneath him. Almost swung himself off his feet, actually, as he let that one go. Bell goes to the end of the second, and again, that's a pretty tight round. All sorts happening at heavyweights over the last few months. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk meeting this week in central London for the press conference ahead of their rematch in December. Daniel Dubois with that huge win over Anthony Joshua. The likes of Zhilei Zhang and Joseph Parker waiting to see what's next for them after big wins over Deontay Wilder. Parker with a win over Zhang as well, of course. Moses Italma has got a good fight against Dempsey McKean coming up on the undercard of that Usyk Fury rematch. There's a lot going on. Fabio Wardley with that first round knockout of Fraser Clark in Saudi Arabia recently as well. So it's one of those divisions currently, and it's kind of always been this way, but at the moment, one big win, one good win, and you can jump into not that leading pack, but you can jump into the pack. And if you get that opportunity out on Riyadh season, which is where most of these big heavyweight fights are taking place, then it's a winner stays on kind of scenario.
Секунданты за ринг. Seconds out. Третий раунд. Round 3.
So into the third, Gassiev in the black and blue shorts. Ljungquist with his back to the ropes there on the right hand side in the solid black shorts. Gassiev just dips his knee, stoops and throws a right hand into the body. That's a good left hand there from Ljungquist. Just caught Gassiev as he was thinking about moving forward and just made him gather himself and start again. Just dips the knees, and I'd like to have seen him let the left hand go again there, Ljungquist, because he just measured it with the right, then just got that nice dip, that nice suspension, and could really have sunk that in because Gassiev was right in front of him. Ljungquist just needs to keep working those hands. Gassiev isn't slipping and rolling. He's not bobbing and weaving all that much on his way in. He's a relatively easy target to find. Ljungquist looking to try and fling that one in around the back of the guard. Doubling up on the hook there, Gassiev. Didn't really land it. Left hand into the body there from Ljungquist was pretty solid. I think Ljungquist needs to show a bit more confidence here and just meet Gassiev as he comes in, because it's only a matter of time before he starts to fancy this more and more, the Russian, and will really let his hands go as he did in that little flurry there. There's an uppercut, a lead uppercut with the right hand there from Ljungquist. That didn't look like much, but I think there was enough on it to stop Gassiev as he came forward. And when he's at this kind of range, Ljungquist could just set his feet and just let those punches flow a bit more. Just put a bit more steam on them. Left hand into the body there. There's absolutely no reason I can see not to do that. He wouldn't need to overextend. He wouldn't need to take any big, bold risks. Just poking with the jab there, Ljungquist. Final 10 seconds of round 3. Trying to turn that left hand in, as I said, round the back of the guard, and it's not quite worked. The uppercut does seem to be there for him. Gassiev does roll over slightly as he comes forward, just rolls those shoulders, dips that head in. Not much in those opening 3. I'm not sure which way the judges will go with those. just waiting really for one of these two to make a move and try and take control of this fight.
Seconds out. Четвертый раунд. Round 4.
So into the fourth. Gassiev maybe looking to start with some aggression, with some purpose. That's a good use of the jab there from Ljungquist, and then just tries to send that left hand in round the back of it. And Gassiev looking to let his own hands go, but you look at the physical difference between the two of them there. Ljungquist just getting up on his toes slightly there. I do feel like this could be there for the taking for him if he just can show a little bit more confidence and just impose himself on the fight. Gassiev with good hand speed there, finishes on the left hand, looking for that right hand over the top. That's the one he's looking for, just to try and kind of lasso that one in over the top. Ljungquist just holding his feet a little bit more here. This is better from him too. He just paused with that jab a little bit, the big tall Dane, when he could just plant it. Uses the ropes there as Gassiev looks for that left hook. He whipped an uppercut underneath there, Ljungquist. There's that hand speed. Ljungquist, though, setting his feet. Final minute of round 4, and this is just beginning to warm up. This is such a big fight for both of them in the context of their career. A win moves them forward, a defeat, and as I said previously, I think it's a long way back. Bit of blood on the bridge of the nose there, I think, of Ljungquist. There's that right hand. He's always looking for that right hand, Gassiev. And he's just beginning to take it to Ljungquist a bit more here. Gassiev, there's a little bit of wind in his sails towards the end of the round. And I think he's the one who's beginning to fancy this more now. Left hand into the body as the bell goes. Touch of gloves between the two, but the Russian there just looking a bit more aggressive towards the end of the round. That's a combination of a couple of things. It's taking him a while to get into the fight. He's been out of the ring for over a year, but also he's being allowed to come in and take that space because Ljungquist, as I say, I don't feel is taking an opportunity here. Gassiev, in the first 2 or 3 rounds, moved in quite pedestrian fashion, to be honest. Ljungquist could have imposed himself on the fight in that 4th round. Just signs towards the end there that Gassiev is the one who is maybe beginning to do that. And there's some damage on the bridge of the nose there. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem because the blood won't go into the eyes from there.
Пятый раунд, round 5.
So into the 5th, they're scheduled for 10. Murat Gassiev, the former unified cruiserweight world champion. He's got the red gloves on and the black and blue shorts. Kem Ljungquist, 18-0. Black shorts, white gloves. Just a bit more energy about Gassiev now as he comes forward, a bit more rhythm. That's heads just moving slightly more fluidly. He's just a little bit looser than he was at the start. He has been out of the ring for a while, as I mentioned. Well over a year, and that's not ideal. It can take a while to find your timing. Good body attack there from Gassiev. That was nice. And then looks to try and fling that right hand over the top and steps in again there. Leads off with a left hook. Digs to the body. He is increasing in confidence. Ljungquist just backing off. Again, Gassiev just creeping in there. Ljungquist just allowing him to do it. That left hand to the body was a good shot. He comes back with a jab there, Ljungquist. But most of what he throws are punches where he's just looking to try and keep you off, discourage you. He's not really throwing them with bad intentions. Left hook there from Gassiev. Left to the body from Ljungquist was a decent shot, but again Gassiev replies with exactly the same punch under the jab. Climbs in to a lead left hook again and pushes Ljungquist back to the ropes. Gets good distance on those body shots, and that left to the body has hurt Ljungquist. Down he goes, rolls onto his back, and I'm not convinced he's going to make this. There's a shake of the head there. He's not going to beat the count here, Ljungquist. And Gassiev is going to take him out here and win by knockout. Left to the body. You could see the reaction straight away. And that body work had been impressive. He'd found, as I said, really good range with it. He got into distance and found that distance basically. And once he did and locked on, then Ljungquist was in trouble. There it is. You could see that he felt it immediately. Caught one on the bicep there. Then the uppercut and the left into that floating rib, I think, and you knew immediately that the chances of him getting up off the back of that were pretty slim. So that is the win that Murat Gassiev really desperately needed to get his career something like back on track. He had such high hopes when he moved up from cruiserweight to heavyweight, and everything took a very long time to happen. And then the defeat came against Wallin, and it didn't look like it was curtains exactly, but not far off it. He absolutely had to win tonight, and he's got the win against an opponent who just didn't take advantage of an opportunity that he had here. Gassiev is a fighter of great pedigree, of course, but he was lethargic. He was slow, to be honest with you, in those first 2 or 3 rounds. And if Ljungquist had stepped in and been a bit more confident and hadn't allowed him to settle into the fight, then I think he could have made things hard for him. But as it was, he got those few rounds under his belt, found his range, and once he did, that's a well-delivered body shot. Really is. And sometimes you know when a fighter goes down whether they're going to get back up or not. And the way he rolled over onto his back there and you saw the little shake of the head, you knew that that was it for the night. So his undefeated record goes. Gassiev gets that win to keep things moving forward. These two just having the gloves removed before they'll be called to the centre of the ring, and that completes the night's action. 2 stoppage wins at heavyweight. Davit Chaloyan stopping Taimoor Khan early on, and Gassiev getting the stoppage around about halfway. Having those hand wraps cut off, and another look at the finish and the uppercut there, and the head attack maybe just lifted those gloves, lifted those forearms slightly, or made him bunch those forearms into the center to block that uppercut, leaving the gap, which he perfectly exploited. And I think Gassiev needs to get back out again. He needs to get another big fight, ideally, but just a fight, a decent fight, as quick as he can off the back of this, because he was slow starting, and I think a lot of that would have been down to the amount of time he'd had out of the ring. He needs to try and build some momentum. It's so important in boxing careers to build that momentum, keep things rolling. Bit of time off, straight back in camp, on to the next one. Activity is absolutely key. Words of consolation there for Ljungquist.
Дамы и господа, рефери Фредди Рафн остановил поединок на отметке 2 минуты и 29 секунд 5-го раунда. Победу нокаутом одержал, and your winner by knockout, Murat Iron Gassiev!
So Gassiev with the win. He went into the fight as favourite, and despite a slow start, he began to click through the gears. At the end of the previous round, you could see that he had some wind in his sails, and then he just put his foot down in that next round and got the finish with that really crisp left hand into the body. And that completes the night's action from Yerevan, Armenia on this IBA Champions Night. The IBA Pro Series is itself gathering really good momentum. We've had a lot of nights over the summer, heading now into the autumn. And the winning team there just posing for some photographs. There was a win for Davit Chaloyan, as I mentioned, amateur standout, stepping up to pro boxing. He looked good as we expected him to. First fight of the night saw DZUKAEV get the win, and we'll just pause for a quick word here with the winner.
После важнейшей и убедительнейшей победы нокаутом в 5-м раунде, Мурат, по горячим следам, что для тебя значит вновь вернуться на победную тропу и одержать победу, которая не вызывает никаких вопросов?
Добрый вечер, Ереван. Спасибо всем, что пришли сегодня. В первую очередь хочется сказать слова благодарности. Год назад я проводил бой, проиграл его. Спасибо большое Умару Кремлеву, Алексею Овсецину, Сергею Ванштейну. То, что эти люди верят в меня, дают возможность мне боксировать. Вот, и я очень рад, то, что получилось вернуться сегодня, победить. Также хочу сказать большое спасибо лучшему нейрохирургу в мире, DZUKAEV Дмитрию Николаевичу, за то, что он провел операцию мне на шею. Она очень долго меня беспокоила. Спасибо моей команде, Виталию Константиновичу, Арсену Кабисову, Рональду Басиеву, Ацамазу Гагиеву за то, что помогли мне готовиться. Вот, и я надеюсь, получится боксировать чаще и радовать болельщиков боями.
После боя с Отто Валином вспоминаем тот поединок. Новый соперник, тоже из северной страны европейской, левша, подвижный. Казалось бы, даже ухудшенная копия, вернее, улучшенная копия Отто Валина. Какая работа в лагере позволила перевернуть ход событий и одержать победу нокаутом?
Как показывает практика, скандинавы настоящие викинги с характером. Кем пропускал удары, я чувствовал, что попадаю, но они его не беспокоили, он все равно продолжал боксировать. Вот. Поменяли какие-то моменты в подготовке, хорошие спарринг-партнеры были, и вроде получилось все выполнить, то, что нарабатывали. Дальше будем двигаться, развиваться, улучшаться и радовать победами по возможности.
Со стороны показалось, что в середине 5-го раунда донесли жесткий удар по корпусу, почувствовали, что руки опустил скандинав, и вы пошли добивать. Правильно? Так ли это?
Я не почувствовал то, что он пропускал, просто из угла говорили чередовать этажи, живот, голова. Вот, и, видимо, просто на автомате удар прошел.
Ну что ж, это важная победа над не знавшим до этого дня поражение соперником. Что дальше? Понятно, что хочется боксировать больше. Возможно, скажете какие-то ближайшие планы, возможно, прозвучат имена.
Хочу неделю отдохнуть, 2 недели максимум, вернуться в лагерь, готовиться и ждать предложений по дальнейшим боям.
Дамы и господа, Мурат Gassiev, одержавший победу нокаутом в 5-м раунде. Ну, а мы говорим вам спасибо и не до свидания, а до очень-очень скорых встреч. Это ночь чемпионов IBA.
So Murat Gassiev there, I don't think getting too carried away with the win. He needed to come back with a win, and it was an impressive finish. But I think, as I said previously, the most important thing for him now is to be active. He was out of the ring for over 12 months, which is never good at any time of a career, but particularly not for him. He's been chronically inactive as a heavyweight since 2018. He's fought on average about once a year, which just isn't enough. And he started slowly. And his inactivity would have had something to do with that. And if Ljungquist, I think, had just been a bit more ambitious in these early stages and gone after Gassiev a bit, then I think he could have had some success, because the Russian needed a little bit of time to settle and to just inject some energy in himself, in his performance, really. Gradually he did that and managed to find some punches, started to find some decent shots, started to find the body in particular. But he was allowed to get into range a bit too easily. That right hand into the body there was a good shot. And here's the finish. Look for the uppercut. He bunched those forearms narrow to prevent it getting through Ljungquist, exposing the right hand side of his rib cage, and Gassiev just slammed that left hand into it. And you could tell as soon as he rolled onto his back that he wasn't going to make it. And he gets counted out. So a win for Murat Gassiev to wrap things up in Yerevan, Armenia. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's action on another IBA Champions Night. We will be back with another one before too long. Take it easy, everybody.